So we'll get started here with the approval of the minutes. Let the minutes, today's minutes reflect that Board Member George Clemens is absent.
Got it.
So we do have a quorum of 2, and the majority will be 2 to get anything passed.
I'll move that we accept the minutes as presented.
All right. I have no further. I'll second that. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed? All right. All right. We've got a few visitors in the house. Tim Meyer, Jeremy Mullins, as well as Board Member Gross that need to have their Redevelopment Commission oaths given. We didn't have a meeting, and by statute, these have to be administered by the end of the month. So I'm going to ask you all to come down and stand right in front here, and we'll get this out of the way. Please. All right. So again, thank you, gentlemen, for your service to the Redevelopment Commission. You've got a lot accomplished, much accomplished, and much to do, and we're certainly happy to have you continue to serve. I know you give us a good perspective from the school board, and certainly understand how our TIF dollars are being spent, and can relate that back to the board, that it's for everybody's benefit, and we try and put more bottoms in the seats, as they say. So that's the best part of that. But thank you again, Jeremy, for your service. So with that, I'll ask you to raise your right hands and repeat after me. I, then state your name. Do solemnly swear that I will support the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of Indiana, and that I will faithfully, impartially, and diligently discharge my duties as a member of the Redevelopment Commission for the City of Warsaw, Indiana, according to the law, and the best of my ability. Congratulations. Thank you. I would ask you all to print and sign your name, and it will be official. Thanks, Tim. I signed mine in the house body, you'll have to scratch that.
Thanks, Joe.
Thank you.
All right, thanks, Jim. Appreciate it. Quite a bit of reflection up here as well.
Thank you.
Thanks, Tim. There you go. All right. So let's move ahead. Lynn, I don't see any reports, oral or written, to be presented to the board, so we'll move beyond that. Again, no unfinished business. So let's jump into new business. Jeremy, got an Anchorage Road right-of-way acquisition request.
Yes, this is the first batch of properties that are ready to be closed on. So you have parcel 17 to the Guy Moore Real Estate Holdings for $23,420. Parcel 8 RNGC Properties, $4,580. Parcel 7 DLC Home Properties LLC, $30,700. Parcel 10 Ramon Rodriguez, $6,930. Parcel 9 Wilberto Hernandez, $1,950. Parcel 15 Ben and Sue Bradway for $11,700. A total of $79,280, and that's all coming out of edit. In your packet, you just see the properties in the right of way that we'll be acquiring for those parcels.
Jeremy, are these funds reimbursable 80%?
Yes,
Okay.
80/20.
I didn't see it, so I just wanted to make sure. I assumed it was. And then the only other thing of note, Jeff, I think you can see on these reports, and correct me if I'm wrong, but it looks like the parcels that are being acquired for the right-of-way have been diagonal lined through. Those are the
Yes,
portions.
the shaded areas, yeah.
Okay. So it just gives you an idea. They're obviously adjacent to the roadway and necessary for that construction.
Yep.
So,
I move to approve.
okay, I would second that. Before we vote, I just ask our city attorney if he's good with all this. Okay, thank you. I guess that meant yes. All right, perfect. All right, all in favor, say aye.
I think if you would rather, I thought that was the universal yes, but I'll do whatever you want.
No, it is, but I like to hear your voice, Scott, so that's it's a verbal approval. Appreciate it. Thank you. All right, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? All right. Thanks, Jeremy. All right, Chief Wilson, got a maintenance contract. No, excuse me.
No, you're
Chris?
right. Yeah,
I'm
you're
not
right.
Chief Wilson, so I'll have to do on this one. So this is a contract with a Zoll Preventative Care Maintenance Agreement. It's actually, I mean, it's only, it's $1,000. I came to you last year. This is a yearly thing we do with them. It allows us to take some of the liability off of our shoulders, make sure that this really valuable piece of equipment is maintained, and making sure that it's working in the right order. We were able to get these through a grant through K-21 a few years ago. These are each one's about a $35,000 piece of equipment if we had to replace it today. So this is a maintenance agreement to do 4 checks, preventive maintenance on the monitors we use on almost every medical call we make. So I think it's pretty valuable just to make sure that that thing works when we need it to. It's a defibrillator, it does EKGs, we do vital signs with it. We probably use it more than any other piece of equipment on the trucks.
Okay, I certainly understand the importance of this, and I have no problem with that. My question is, appropriations coming out of equipment replacement rather than operations. I'm curious as to why that is. You may want Chief Wilson up here to answer that one.
He's the money man on that, so we'll have to get him to say so.
So when we did our budget, we included the dollar amount of this into the professional services side in equipment replacement. It's actually, there's a category in operating and a category in equipment replacement, 410, the old 410. So that's why we're running out
So
of
the
there.
professional services in that?
Yes,
Yeah.
there's one in both.
It's a small amount. I think philosophically, when you purchase something, then you have that capital budget to do that. But you've got an operational budget that needs to sustain those capital purchases. And you know, that all needs to be thought about when you purchase. And this is a very small example of that. But I suppose that the next question is, when you have truck maintenance and parts and so forth, where does that come out of?
Well, there's 36 in both. So we try to use close to what your income is or less in your equipment replacement, what your tax levy is set for that. We start out of operating, and then when we get close in operating in your 36 account for operating, then we move to 410.
So you're using both?
Yes, we do.
Okay. All right. I think that's something we might want to iron out. Again,
Okay. Some of it was my recommendation of what Paige had a couple of years ago about trying to move some of the items over out of operating to equipment replacement. It was a recommendation from her.
I mean, it's certainly allowed, you know, based on the category that you've got it in, so it's not a concern that way. It's just, again, I think from the philosophically, if you purchase something in operating or in capital, you should be able to sustain it in your operating.
Okay.
That's the way this looks to me.
We'll make that note.
Yep, thank you.
Lynn, any comments on this? But I missed it. I sorry about that, but maybe not.
No, I don't have any comments.
Okay. I move to accept as presented.
All right, I'll second that. Further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? All right, thanks, Chris.
Thank you very much.
Appreciate it. Jennifer, what are you laughing at? All right, we've got some travel requests.
Sure, travel request, there, just for clarification on Wayne Wilkie, the guest speaker, he's actually a firearms instructor down at ILEA. So I guess it's a guest speaker, but he's going to be instructing.
And my name's at the top of this list. We have a
Yes.
legislative dinner next month, and given the concerns we have with what's being proposed in the legislature, this is pretty critical meeting as far as I'm concerned, so that's where I'm at on that.
Yep, we got 4 officers going to Indianapolis for some additional resources and training as well, and a couple from wastewater.
All right. Any questions?
I move to accept all as presented.
All right, and I'll second that. Any further discussion or questions? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? All right. Lynn, you've got the new hire change in payroll, or Lynn?
Well,
Jennifer?
That's all right.
I have it too, but she can do
I
it.
thought I was Chief Wilson here for a minute when I walked up before him, so.
All right, go.
Okay, so, we have the new hire report, just some replacements. We've got some shifting around for, shift differentials. Got a rehire at wastewater and Kenneth Locke for the board member at the cemetery.
I move to accept as presented.
I'll second that. Further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed?
Thank you.
All right, thanks. This next item is going to be presented by the IT Governance Committee, but I did want to just mention that this is a high priority from our organizational and operational review from several years ago to establish an IT governance and plan, long-range plan, and most importantly, operate and create standard operating procedures that support that. So that's really the genesis of all the IT governance requests that have been coming to this board for the last few years, and I know this is a very important item to them, so I'll let them talk about it. Stacy?
Sure. This is an agreement with Baker Tilly. We had several meetings with them to discuss their resources to do a project like this, and they have experience doing projects like this. We wanted to work with a firm to do this instead of trying to do it in-house because they can help us with best practices in the industry, like industry-wide, not just in government, looking at the IT industry, and then also just to help us cover liabilities. They know where some liabilities stand that we may not be aware of. So they're going to help us through this process, and this is just developing standard operating procedures for IT for the city moving forward. So we have the infrastructure now, we have the network, the server system, and all of that, and we're starting to do a lot of other things with IT. We want to make sure that we have a foundation set for that so that we are protecting what we have and providing that consistency, and at times probably cost savings by making sure that we have something to help kind of chart the course for us moving forward.
Questions?
I move to approve.
I'll second that. I think the only thing I want to mention, the importance of this is again, I always kind of go back to the cyber attacks and the vulnerability of our network. And I'm just thoroughly committed to making sure that we don't fall into those, that we do everything we can to avoid that. I'm not sure that it's 100% avoidable, but if all of a sudden we've got a ransomware attack and we haven't done and taken the precautions and looked at best practices to try and avoid that, I don't think that's being responsible. We're all moving the data gathering and the information technology that we have now, the asset management, street department can talk about how important that is. It's critical that we protect this information, and this is a top priority. So again, protecting what we have and making it efficient is what the governance committee is trying to do, and I certainly support this. So with that,
Agreed.
all right, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? All right, thank you.
Thank you.
All right, item number 6 is the grant. Oh, the parks got some money from Kosciuszko Community Foundation.
Yes, I am pleased to announce that the Kosciuszko County Community Foundation Committee has awarded the Parks Department $5,000. This money will be used for the summer concert series. So I would like your permission to accept that.
I move to accept.
Absolutely. I would second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? All right, thank you.
Thank
And
you.
again, thank you to the Kosciuszko County Community Foundation. That's a great concert series. Everybody, even through the pandemic, we were able to continue that, and they're well-attended, and that's just a fun night in the park. Yeah, thank you so much. All right. Larry?
Yeah, this is our annual maintenance agreement with Anderson Property Management. We've been doing this since 2012. They take care of the satellite beds and the urns in Central Park, and we'd like to renew that again this year.
All right.
I move to approve.
I would second that. Further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? All right, thank you.
Thank you.
All right, Justin, we're,
Yeah, so today I've submitted the construction inspection agreement for the Lincoln Neighborhood Sidewalk Project, and that is in the amount of $156,800, and that is an 80-20 match. So the local, once we're reimbursed by NDOT, our total would be around $31,360. So I just asked for approval on that, and we're planning on letting this project in April. So hopefully, if all goes well, we'd be working on construction this summer. With that said, a lot of bids are coming in high for these NDOT projects, so we're just keeping an eye on those trends and what's happening. So hopefully, our bid is competitive when we let this project. So.
and just should be obvious, this as a LPA project within DOT, these inspection services are required to make sure that the project is being constructed to bid or to specification, so,
I move to
well, and bid.
I'm sorry. I move to accept.
All right, I will second that. Any further discussion or questions? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Justin, you had indicated that, potentially with these bids coming in high, and we saw what happened in Winona Lake with the roundabout. It's actually delayed their project. They're going to have to rebid it. Is that kind of what you were intimating, that as far as the timeline on the project?
I spoke with our engineer this morning, and he indicated that a lot of these NDOT projects are coming in around 100% over budget currently. So we're just watching that trend. He did say that this is a sidewalk project. We have some local contractors that may be able to, put out competitive bids on this. And there's not a lot of utility issues, but just supply and demand. A lot of the supply chains are limiting what contractors can do, and if they have to meet certain windows, they might just throw a high number out there. So we're just keeping an eye on it at this point. We'll know more in April, obviously, but we're just following those steps as an NDOT project and hoping for the best.
This is always a concern. The LPA projects, this project, we were awarded when? Was that about
3 years ago.
About 3 years ago. So it takes 3 years to get through all of the engineering and the preliminary work before you go to let. And it would seem very natural that the price is going to go up just naturally in 3 years. We're always holding our breath when the bids come in, but in this environment, it's more than likely going to happen. And it's not if, it's how much.
Yeah.
So, and it probably applies to all the projects we have now moving forward.
Yeah, and for what it's worth, this contract was on budget, so this was the initial estimated amount, and they were able to meet that. So from 3 years ago, they hit the amount for construction inspection, so so far so good.
So the inspection, yeah.
So,
Okay.
Yep.
Well, we'll keep our fingers crossed,
All right.
and thank you so much.
Thanks.
All right, stormwater, you've got several projects here, or I should say contracts.
Yep, we got four, three for Christopher Burke and the fourth for Lilly Center. The first one you see there, the documents assistance contract, is going to be the largest of the four. So the program from the state is transitioning from permit by rule to comprehensive permitting for all MS4s. And with that, they changed a lot of the language for our permits, which they haven't updated for 15 years. So with that, that's engaging a lot of requirements that we have to get documents updated for the city. And so we're going to go with Christopher Burke with this, seeing that they have their hands in that industry, and they do really well when it comes to compliance documents for that. But documents such as ordinances, ordinance updates for programs that are going to need to be updated, as well as our internal standard operating procedures, our spill response prevention plans, and things like this. So that's why that's the largest out of the four, as well as just the three from Christopher Burke. And
So we'll
it's not
take these
just-
one at a time, and we'll start with this first one, this document assistance. Just a comment from this, this letter from them, or this proposal. They suggest that the city will be making the revisions and then submitting those documents to them for their review. I assume that's what's going on here.
Yes, so to kind of take the load off, as well as the time for their engineers, I already have some documents drafted from my time here and vice versa, so we're just switching it so that we're limiting time for their engineers to save more money on that.
So the not to exceed amount would be worst case scenario, but with
Yes.
us, it appears to be doing most of the heavy lifting. This is just more consulting.
Yes,
Okay,
yes.
all right. Questions?
I move to accept.
All right, I would second that. Any further questions, Orion, on item number 9, the document assistance contract? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? All right, thank you. Now you've got $5,000, I believe, for on-call services. How does that tie into item number 9?
So to just show a true, I guess, categorization of the services that we're doing, this would be anything outside of the documents, as well as the virtual webinar, any of the other contracts. So this is in the event that we have a conversation that's outside of that. In years past, we've had on-call services close to, I believe when I first started, it was close to 30,000, and it has whittled down just due to my position and my knowledge. So with this is in the event that we need to use it, but in reality, it's, again, not to exceed. It's just there if they would define it outside of those contracts.
So this isn't just for the revision of the MS4 agreement, it's our annual on-call services. Got it.
Yes.
I thought it tied directly to that other project, so, okay.
I move to accept.
I'll second. Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? All right, then item 11 would be a virtual webinar assistance contract. On my, is your contract worksheet filled out, Jeff? Or was that, mine's left blank?
That was an oversight on my part. The amount is $5,000. It'll come out of the same appropriation, which is professional services. And I can get that updated and sent to Lynn. And it's going to be coming from Christopher Burke as well.
Mine has
Yeah,
it.
mine's in there. I have it.
Mine didn't fill out,
Yeah.
so
It's in a funny color, so yeah, it's different than the normal look, but I see it.
So, this is the program that we're required to, the education program we're required by our permit
Yes.
to give to our local contractors to explain all these rules and regulations.
Yep, that is correct. And in years past, we've done a in-person event. However, just when it comes to administering as well as coordinating the event and being smart with my time, we're just moving on to virtual events. We can provide it annually, like year-long, and we're using this as a mechanism to ensure that the inspectors on contractor sites understand what we're expecting of them. So this is the pathway that we're taking moving forward, is just going for these virtual webinars annually with Christopher Burke and having it provided throughout the year so that contractors can access it if they get a new employee.
I know these are very well attended, and I know they're very much appreciated by those contractors. It's best to get all this out in front of them before they get on site. So it's a good policy and a really good practice. So I appreciate, and I like the virtual side of this too. So,
Yeah.
any
I
comments?
agree. Yeah, I agree. I move to accept.
All right, I would second that. Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? All right. And the last item for you, Ryan, is the Lilly contract where they are involved in our education programs. I know this has been something, a huge benefit to our community. They provide very quality, comprehensive education on stormwater and pollution and all the related community concerns. They do a great job. Any comments on that?
A few items to note. One, the amount hasn't changed. It's the same as last year, so their operating expenses for these haven't changed. The main difference for the scope of this year is we're doing a workshop series, and that's another requirement, is to have 2 community events. Now, granted, there's 5, but it's not wrong to go a little bit above and beyond for this kind of stuff. But overall, same expenses, and they will be for the 21-22. Lilly Center's exec, Dr. Nate Bosch, will be here in June or July to present an executive summary. So we're going at the beginning of the year for these contracts, and then the following year they will provide you an executive summary presentation for the board, as that's how we're moving forward with this. So, but that's all I have to note.
Okay. Yeah, again, the quality of this programming is excellent, and we're very happy to have Lilly as a partner as we maintain our stormwater permit.
And required, right? This kind of stuff is.
Yes.
We have to as an MS4, yeah, we've done
Yep,
that.
so outside of even just the 2 community events, we're required to have a comprehensive education plan, and with those updated changes from permit by rule to comprehensive permit, there's actually more expectations. So luckily, we have a partner like the Lilly Center to where they've already created this robust and really organized and defined program that we can just essentially partner with them on, so.
I move to accept.
I would second that. Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? All right. Thanks,
All right,
Ryan.
thank you.
Appreciate it. Brian, got a change order on the McKinley storm sewer improvement?
Yes. The question that was brought up by Lynn, and I didn't catch it, but the supporting documents show a $30,000
Well, the exhibit
additional
from
cost,
HRP
right.
shows 30,000.
I know there's credits that have been applied also, and that's how come the increase is only 5,000, but I don't, those credits have not been listed. So I don't know if you can go ahead and approve it because it's for less than what the contractor has said the increases are. We may need to table it. I haven't been able to get clarification on it.
So the change order in item 13 is for the McKinley Sewer Project, which is still going on, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
And what you're saying is the amount that you've got on the worksheet does not match Exhibit A, what lists the total for the change order is significantly more, it's 30,150.
Correct. And how we got to the 5,000, I know there are credits involved.
Got it.
For other parts of the project, but those were not specifically listed in the change order. But the amount is less than what the exhibit, so I don't know if it can still be approved as is at this point. And
But what would we be approving? The
The
5,000?
5,000, what is written on the change order is the
Is there time sensitivity to this, Brian?
only time sensitivity is payout number 2 is next, and it reflects this change order, so we'd have to delay payment till the next Board of Works.
So it appears to me, gentlemen, that in the description from the change order, it says item 7 bid amount was 15,000. The item 8 bid amount was 10,000. So apparently the bid amount was already a total of 25,000. And the new cost looks like it's 30,150, which is where the $5,150 seems to come from. That increases the bid with this change order. So if it's confirmed that this item 7 bid amount was 15,000 and item 8 bid amount was 10,000, then I do think it is an accurate that there is an increase by this change order of $5,150. The new final cost is going to be $30,150 instead of the $25,000 that was contained in the bid.
So what you're saying is that the HRP exhibit is wrong? There's an error there?
No, the HRP is what the new costs were, but we got credit for the 15,000 and the 10,000, which is 25,000, which gives us that 5,100 and whatever it is increase.
I wouldn't say error, Mayor. Again, I'm surprised I'm following this. I would say it's modification. They've got it in the explanation here, like our attorney has said. I think I see it, and I do agree, it's 5150.
I see where he's coming from that, but we're signing off on there. Is it actually a change order of $30,150?
No.
No, wait a minute, with $25,000 credit? Or is it just a change order of $5,150?
It's a change order of 5,150 with the explanation, the modifications right above it. You can see where they point that out, which our attorney has mentioned. I think, Lynn, you're seeing the same thing?
Yeah,
Help me quickly, yeah.
It makes sense to me.
It does me too. And so it is a 5150 with the modifications to the description that is down at the bottom of page 3. Again, if I'm speaking clearly here. I'm comfortable with it.
Right, I understand the math.
Okay.
And I understand that there were 5,150 over. The issue I've got is that this exhibit shows that we are acknowledging by our vote a change order for $30,150.
No, well, the official change order form reflects the 5,150. The Exhibit A is just a supporting document showing that their cost was an additional 30,000, and we've taken 25,000 out of the contract.
Exhibit A
Yeah.
is the explanation. The contract is actually 5150 with the modification, the verbiage above it. And it actually says change order number 1.
Lynn, are you good with this?
After hearing the explanation, I'm
Okay.
good with it, and I'll just make sure we highlight that, the numbers up in the body of the
Got it.
change order.
All right.
And the only thing, yeah, so you're approving the change order, and I'm good with that change order being increased by 5,000.
Okay, so their supporting document is not, that's not critical.
It's not clear, it's
All right.
not the best of things.
As
but
long as you're good with it, I'm
good
fine with it.
Scott, we can progress. Your recommendation would be we can progress with this?
Yeah, I think the important thing is change order number 1 clearly states that the original bid amount was $15,000 for item 7, and the original bid amount was $10,000 for item 8. And then it looks like Exhibit A just shows and says on there that we're upsizing to 84 inches from 72 and from 108 inches from 96, and that's the new cost of those. But the increase because of those new items will only be 5,150 because the 25,000 was already bid into the project. So I think that's probably the correct way to do it.
All right. So with that notation,
I will
You're
move.
you're only approving an increase of $5,150 with this change order.
all right,
I will move the contract forward. I move to approve the contract and increase, or just the amount of 5,150.
change order.
Change order.
Okay, and I would second that. Again, noting the approval of clerk treasurer and the city attorney that this is the right thing to do. All right, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? All right, thank you. Thanks, Brian.
Thank you.
Now we move on to, we need to go to item 16. From there, this was the walk-in. This would be the pay app that includes that increase, is that
No,
correct?
pay app
Brian?
number 2 reflects the.
Okay, Lynn, why did you want me to go to that walk-in?
The walk-in was actually approved at the last Board of Works on the claims docket, but we didn't have it in here as a separate approval for payment to show that.
Okay, so does that need to be approved before we move on with the pay app 2 or not necessarily?
I think it does, I mean, if you want to go in order, like.
Okay, it doesn't hurt to go out of order. Let's just go to item number 16, This is the walk-in. Brian, again, explain that. It was not approved specifically.
It did not get placed on the Board of Works for approval specifically like this.
Okay.
This just shows James has reviewed it. We have our own staff on site overseeing construction. Everything is good to pay. What they're requesting payment for has been completed.
Looks like he changed things a penny.
Yeah. I was gonna ask about that too. Which doesn't make, I mean, I don't know if they're supposed to be rounding up or whatever, but, oh, where was that? It was hard to see.
Yeah, the initial, I see.
It's on the contractor's
Yes,
application for
yeah.
payment. And James initialed
It
it.
could have
did.
been having just something to do with the retainage,
He did.
is what I'm figuring. But we already paid it at 766687.
Well, there was an error in their math, because if you subtract the retainage from the work completed to date, it should be 87 and not 88. So our engineer caught that penny mistake.
That's what he's here for.
That's what he does a great job.
About time he does something, right? You know?
Don't say that.
I mean, no, I'm just telling you, you're picking up stuff, and then, yeah, I'm glad there are good people working around here, good. Man.
All right. Okay, so let's consider this pay up one.
And what specific, recommend payment, what motion do you want again on this?
I think we just need to approve the payment.
So moved.
I'll second. Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? All right, now let's go back to pay app number 2, item 14.
Yeah, this is the same thing. It's just to pay them for work that hasn't been completed. James reviewed it.
In the amount of $184,685.63. The work has been approved, inspected and approved by our engineer. There don't appear to be any addition or subtraction mistakes in here. So, Jeff?
I move to approve.
I would second that. Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed?
Just a little update on that project. The major part of our part of the project is complete. We have a little bit to do on the, I guess it'd be the south side of the road in that condominium area where we're abandoning that pipe to the lake, but the flow is now headed through the new pipe to the Winona Lake. So we are pretty much finished. And I know Winona Lake, their project came in, I think, at over 100% from what was estimated, and it's going to be re-let at some point. So I don't know. That'll be up to them to update, but.
We're gonna let them worry about that.
Right.
But we're certainly understanding their concerns.
We got our part complete, and we are out of their way for whenever they're ready to start, so.
And thank you. I know they handled it well down there with the detours and that type of thing. It went well. All right. So let's take that under. Jeff, any questions?
No.
All right, is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
I'll second. Further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? All right. Now we'll go to another change order. This is for the plant expansion, item 15.
Yeah, this has to do with programming. We have two big blowers that are providing air to the various locations at the plant. We have an old one, and then the project included a new one. And the old one has a few different specifications, so they had to do some additional programming within the controls to make them work together when they needed to. And that's what this is for.
1271. I move to accept.
I will second that. Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? All right, thank you.
Thank you.
And then we've done 16. We'll go to item 17. This is a walk-in. You might notice that last year, when we approved the budget, we put some money in for translation services. And we're talking documents, we're talking could potentially be website. There's a lot of translation that we are behind on. And these are services that we provide to our Hispanic community that need to be done. We need to get upgraded on. There's a lot of work to do. But we sat down with this group that we've got, Language Matters. We've talked to them that we don't want to start just wholesale going through and we want to see what documents are most useful and most needed and needed to be accessed by the Hispanic community. We want to try and be smart about our dollars because these are expensive services, and we don't want to just start doing wholesale documents or doing documents that in 2 weeks will change and have to be redone. So what this is basically a study that gives us priority to the most appropriate documents to be translated at a higher level and then prioritized down so that we use our dollars, we spend our dollars wisely on documents that will and other services that will be most impactful and most helpful early on. Larry, I'd say from a Parks Department, there's probably documents that you need to pass along in translated into Spanish, and it would be helpful to have those. I know just about every department has that need when there's permitting that needs to be done.
Yeah.
It's very important to get this done. And what this preliminary service is going to sit down and talk to the department heads, dig deeper, and find out what are the highest priority documents that have to be done first.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yes. I move to accept.
Okay, I'll second. Any further discussion or comments? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? All right, Lynn, you've presented 4 special claims here.
I have.
Again, the special claims are typically claims that need to be paid in a timely manner. The one is, item 2 is blank. Are those both waste management?
No, well, item 1 that's for disposable fees at Waste Management.
Right, but item 2 is blank.
I think part of that waste management stuff, part of that claim came from the general fund, and part of it.
So it's 2 different funds that you're drawing that
Right.
claim from?
Right, so
Okay,
really
they're both waste management.
It's the claims like $12,000.
All right.
For
And then
the
there's
third one, I don't know what,
Vehicle.
Brian, did you get a new piece of equipment from? The last one is just a payment for our investment services with the trust department like today.
Okay,
I move to accept all of the special claims.
I will second that. Further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? All right. Then our final item is the approval of the claims docket. And this would be just the accounts payable. I did glance through there, didn't see anything that sparked concern.
I move to approve.
I'll second that. Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Any other items need to be carried forward? All right. Comments, questions? If not, is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
All right, I'll second. Thank you.
Good. You see stuff. That's good.
Well,